this week. Gonna have to fucking confess to a lot of shit that I didn't think I would be confessing to, but here we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the ADickDid podcast. I am your host Jake, and this week on episode 6, we are going to be talking about sex addiction, weird stories that involve it. If you're not into it and you're not a fan of that topic, I will not blame you one bit if you want to click out of this. Personally, maybe don't want anyone to really hear this ever, but it's topics we should talk about. So here we go. Get ready for a new one. Do 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 do. I figure we will start this episode off with what is sex? What is a sex addict? Sex addiction is defined as a lack of control over sexual thoughts, urges, and impulses. While sexual impulses are natural, sex addiction only refers to behaviors that are done in excess and significantly impact one's life in a negative way. The reason I would say I am a sex addict is uh, I need these things in excess, and on top of that, I will try to find ways to get off or get horny, even if it's just by myself, because sometimes it's just a weird urge or like need I feel like I have. Almost daily, I feel like I have to get off. I don't know why I'm like that. I have tried to just not. I've tried chastity stuff. I've tried like turning myself off in ways, and it's just I don't know why, but I always find a way to need it again and go back. Um, some of the sex addict what are these like symptoms would be including sexual acts, prostitution, watching or consuming pornography, masturbation or sexual fantasy, exhibition or voyeurism. I don't know what voyeurism is, and I might have to Google that in a minute. But I know for a fact that I will have, in relationships, I have definitely pushed the boundaries or my luck with girlfriends I've had in ways that I'm not proud of. I wish I had not done certain things because I feel like I could have formed better relationships if I had communicated what I needed more than just like I don't know, pushed myself on someone or took the physical route over the verbal or emotional route. I definitely have fucked some situations up with that. Uh, I have attempted what they call prostitution, where I will trade sexual acts for something. Not necessarily money, but I definitely have done things for other things that people needed. Another one is watching or consuming pornography almost every day. I mean, come on, like we can't even go on Instagram or Snapchat or almost any app without there being some form of pornography. And I mean, maybe we're just getting hornier as a civilization. Maybe people are just more open to expressing what they are into. Who knows? And masturbation, sexual fantasy, that kind of goes along with the consuming porn. I feel like it's something I get attached to. I get really clingy to women that are okay being sexual with me because I am an addict to the sexualness, and then I get overly comfortable with that. They get comfortable with me, and then I fuck shit up. I don't know how it happens, but I always want more than they're willing to give, or I'm always maybe pushing in the wrong way, and that's something I got to adapt to and learn how to communicate. Um, but like exhibitionism or voyeurism, I have tried the what is it like the Finstagram or whatever, where like you're trying to show off in sexual ways. I've definitely attempted that. I've thought about making an OnlyFans, but I don't think that's content anyone really needs or wants to see. I kind of pushed myself away from that. Maybe it's just a depression negative thing. Maybe there are people who would be interested in that, but I don't see it right now, and that's something I'd have to explore and maybe have people tell me they wanted. I don't know. I that yeah, we're not going to get into that though. I want to apologize in advance if this episode feels really choppy and kind of mismatched. I have had to take an unregular amount of breaks from this because it's making me feel a little nervous to share and be this vulnerable, but it's just something I have to get through. And no, I'm not taking the breaks to jerk off, you sick, twisted fucks. I'm taking the breaks to breathe, smoke a little weed, drink a little vitamin water, and come back because it's making me a little fucked up. But let's get back to the episode. Another sign of sexual addiction is someone who spends a lot of time on sex. They may not be seeking out partners, but it just means they spend an excessive amount of time and energy on sex, and that could just be attempting to acquire sex or spending an excessive time during sex, being sexual in non-sexual times, or recovering from sexual experiences, like I guess outwardly or verbally to someone, would definitely be ways to tell if someone is a sex addict. So definitely I'm feeling a little bit of shame with this one, but here we go. Feeling shame or depression. If a need for sex crosses over into an addiction, someone's sexual feelings might also be interspersed with I think I fucked that up. With feelings of anxiety, shame, depression, or regret. The individual may feel shame about their sexual urges and their difficulty controlling those urges. I definitely feel a lot of shame for some of the urges I haven't controlled. I guess I'll tell a story because that's what this is about. Is me putting myself on the stand to get murdered or some shit in the audience. There was this girl I worked with for a little bit. She worked in the same like area department as me. A lot of people thought there was stuff going on when there wasn't, and I honestly was pretty good with there not having stuff go on for a while. But then I guess she told me all this stuff she was into. I got a little attached to the idea of having someone that would call me daddy, which is a kink that I developed, making fun of people for having that kink, and now I have it. But I was excited to have someone that would do that for me, and then I definitely involved a lot of our time around the thought of that and trying to get her off because that was something she complained about other people not really trying very hard to do or being able to do. So I would definitely spend an excessive amount of time trying to get her off. And specifically with the shame or depression portion of this is maybe the only experience where I just was so disappointed in myself for what I like not what I was doing, but I felt pretty shameful to myself for not being able to control the just being friends part and actually letting it develop into something more when both of us knew nothing was going to come of it. I uh, might be the only time I haven't been able to like keep it up was because I started getting in my head playing the mind games of like how weird it was that I was like sleeping with a coworker and a friend instead of trying to like develop a real connection with this person. I don't know. I think it all like flooded into my head all at once and I just couldn't even think about anything. It's definitely a weird experience I don't want to have happen again. So that's why I try to develop more real connections to people and not put people in my life that I know are not gonna benefit me and people I can't benefit. Like, I can't cause them benefit as well. If I know I'm just being selfish about something, I actually try really hard to step away because being selfish is the justification for addiction in my head. Not justification, but like being addicted is the justification for selfishness, so to speak. And I feel like if I get like caught up on something and then can't let it go, I'll justify that like sick attachment as a reason to keep being attached. So recognizing that I have that flaw or that trait, I try really hard to push away things that I don't feel are benefiting from me. If I feel like I'm not causing anything good or beneficial to that person or situation, whatever, I will definitely do my best to push myself away, even if it's in not the best tendencies. Yeah, so a study found that, moving on, a study found that among sexually compulsive men, 28% showed signs of depression, compared to 12% of the general population. I think that is a trick our brain plays on us because the feeling of an orgasm is similar to what opioids would do to your brain, but naturally instead of with drugs. I feel like if you develop that addiction or that compulsion to needing it so young or in life or even at any point, it'll just start. Uh, yeah, it could really depress a person not having something that's that good. I would I would beg to question how much that same situation goes for drug addicts who are quitting opioids, like how quickly their depression goes. Or maybe getting off the drugs takes away depression. That would be an interesting thing. Maybe in another episode we'll look that up. Um, but like excluding other activities is another sign where you would be maybe at a family gathering or a friendsgiving, or you're doing something with a bunch of people and you just can't focus or engage on any of the activities in front of you because all you can think about is sex, sexual activities, your fantasies, stuff like that. I I definitely suffer from that. There are days where I'll just be doing my job and all of a sudden all I can think about is thighs, and I have a problem. I definitely have something that I need to maybe seek help for, but I don't know. Is there anything wrong with thighs? I think thighs are pretty great. Um, Even falling behind in responsibilities in school, work, personal lives, becoming socially withdrawn. That's definitely something I've done and I've spoken about in other episodes where I'll get very hermit into myself, and I guess I didn't cover it in that time when I said it before, but I definitely have become a hermit to get off. Wow, I can't believe I just said that out loud. I like it's a rush of feeling you can't get enough of sometimes. I don't know. I don't feel like I need to explain myself. People know how good coming is. Engaging in risky or inappropriate behavior. To me, this would be like jacking off while I drive, or or jacking off while my friend's in the other room. Who knows? Like, I'm not saying I've done any of these things. These are just examples my brain's coming up with. I've never done any of those allegedly. Yeah, moving on. Cheating on partners. Someone with a sexual addiction may feel compelled to seek out sex with new partners, even if this means cheating on a partner or having an extramarital affair. They may seek out one night stands on a regular basis or even cheat multiple times with different partners. I have never had this issue, so to speak, with like cheating specifically. I definitely have had issues with like. Actually, you know what? I am. I am just gonna call myself a cheater because I did have a girlfriend that I was with for 4 years, and she definitely caught me a couple of times while we were together, where I'd be watching like pornography or looking at hot girls on Instagram or some shit, Snapchat stories of like girls, and honestly, that's a form of cheating. Seeking out something you're attracted to from someone other than your partner is cheating, and I definitely fucked up because I would get addicted to looking at the Instagrams or the fucking porn, and that caused a couple of fights in that relationship. I definitely was told that I would lose that relationship if I didn't stop, and then I did. I mean, I did stop for a really long time, and I think like a year or two later we had another discussion about it, and she just wasn't able to provide me with what I needed, and I wasn't willing to give up those things for her without her being able to put in more work for it. And then we we kind of got along for, I want to say, another year, where she didn't really care what I did as long as she didn't know about it. And then, or well, she cared what I did, but she didn't care like what I looked at or watched, as long as she didn't really have to hear or know about it. And then we obviously we're not together now. We broke up. Things just don't work out. We didn't break up because of that. We broke up because of jobs and not wanting to go in the same direction anymore. She was working in one way and I was working the other way, and it just wasn't gonna happen. That's not the point of this episode. But I guess a similar actual interesting point is we broke up, and then I went and immediately had to seek like a female companion because I was with someone for so long, and I sought out someone basically for sexual needs and desires, and I ruined that relationship too because of what I needed out of that. And it wasn't a relationship. It never was gonna. We never planned on it being a relationship. But I definitely ruined that friendship because all I really needed was sex, and all I got from them was sex. I should have maybe developed a better friendship with them and given them real things instead of just my dick. So fucked up. Honestly, doing more research and reading into this topic has given me a lot of perspective into the mistakes I made, knowing full well after time like I had fucked up. But like researching and reading into these things has given me perspective I didn't have, I guess. And we're at the treating sexual addiction portion of this, which is can a sex addict change? I believe in change. The website says they can change, so if you read it online, it must be true, right? But I also have seen people completely turn their lives around from methamphetamine addictions and other kinds of addictions, and I do believe that change is possible. So all you have to do is search for it and try, right? It may require treatment from a medical professional like a psychologist, psychiatrist, or a sex therapist, uh, but it is definitely possible to make progress in the right direction. I, I'm not in the best place I've been, but I definitely am better than I was. I definitely don't do some of the really bad shit that I am not proud of, but I do have a lot to work on still too, and I hope that me being honest and vulnerable will help you identify things that you need help with too, maybe, even if it's not this topic. God, I'm nervous. So forms of treatment can include one-on-one therapy with a mental health professional. Obviously, therapy always an option. Cognitive behavioral therapy, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I've never heard of that. I might have to look into that a little bit, just out of curiosity of what that means. Psychodynamic therapy, group therapy, support groups, inpatient treatment, and couples counseling or marriage counseling. Okay, these are just obvious. A middle schooler could have written these down. Um, Inpatient treatment kind of freaks me out. Like, could you imagine being so far gone into your sexual addiction you have to live in a fucking place that like almost treats you like a prisoner? I'd like I'm just thankful that I am not that far gone that I need to live in a home and people look after me to make sure I'm not trying to fuck people. Or I don't know what inpatient treatment is and I'm getting that all sorts of mixed up with something else. Um, yeah, do you need help with sex addiction? Do you need help with shame or depression or obsessive sexual thoughts, masturbation or exhibitionism like I have issues with? Because if you do, you might need to look into help. Oh God. Um, Thank you for listening to this episode of the ADickDid podcast. I am super appreciative of everyone that gives this the time of day, and I hope this doesn't skew people away from listening next week. to a totally different topic that won't have anything to do with this, I promise. Um, yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope that I was able to aid you in some way. That's all I have to say. I hope I was able to aid somebody. I hope this helped anybody other than myself, and I really appreciate you guys listening. Thank you guys so much. Peace.